Welcome to the Tyneside Irish Cultural Society podcast with me, Michael McNally. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lockdown isn't going to spoil our fun. We've got an action-packed show lined up for you. And we've got an amazing guest to set us away. Please welcome Edwina Hayes.
Hello and happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I'm going to have a go at the Fields of Athenry for you. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young girl calling. Oh, Michael, they have taken you away, for you stole Trevelyan's corn, so the young might see the morn. Now a prison ship lies waiting in the bay. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely prison wall, I heard a young man calling. Oh, nothing matters, Mary, when you're free. Against the famine and the crown, I rebelled, they brought me down. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. Now it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. By a lonely harbour wall, she watched the last star falling, as a prison ship sailed out against the sky. Now she live in hope and pray for her love in Botany Bay. And it's so lonely round the fields of Athenry. Low lie the fields of Athenry, where once we watched the small free birds fly. Now our love was on the wing, we had dreams and songs to sing. And it's lonely round the fields of Athenry. It's so lonely round the fields of Athenry.
Edwina, thank you very much for your time. It's lovely to have you on our podcast. Can you just tell me a little bit about your beginnings? Because you were born in Dublin, I believe.
I was born in Dublin, but I moved to England when I was still too young to remember. too much. I was only about one or two. So I grew up in Lancashire, and then moved to East Yorkshire, where I live now, Bridlington, Driffield area, in the early 90s. And I started off singing down at the Bridlington Folk Club. That's the first place I ever got up and sang in public, other than school or at family do's. I'd always been one, Edwina's going to get a guitar out at family do's, but I'd never got up and sung in front of people, at a folk club, and I absolutely loved it. And I always say I've never sat down since, and that was in 1994. So coming up on 30 years.
Wow. Any other musicians in your family?
My mum actually is a wonderful piano player and singer, but she really doesn't like performing in public. But her father did perform in public. He was a Liverpudlian merchant seaman, and because my family are Liverpool Irish, and on my mum's side, and he used to play the piano all by ear around the pubs in Liverpool. And they used to come, like every Saturday night, he was playing somewhere that people used to come and knock on the door and ask for him. And he played very much like Jules Holland, boogie woogie style, and apparently could get like the whole pub going. And my mum used to play all these records in the 70s. And in fact, I have some of them over. I can just see Barry Gibb and Barbra Streisand, the Guilty album. And that's in front of 2 Gerry Rafferty albums. So my mum lent me them all because I got myself a record player, and just on Amazon, and they're all the soundtrack to my growing up, really. I was born in the early 70s, so Dolly Parton and John Denver and, Simon and Garfunkel and all those people I still really love, Gerry Rafferty. So I think it was a really big influence, my mum loving music.
But were you 13, 14-ish when you were starting to do those sort of gigs, or was it after school?
No, I was older than that. I was actually 21. So I was 21 years old. So I was a little bit of a late starter performing in public, but I'd always performed at school. And as I say, when I went to uni, when I was 18, that's when I picked up the guitar again. I used to play in assembly. I went to Catholic school in Preston, and I'd play the guitar in assembly. But when I went to uni, I started hearing things like Bob Dylan and Carole King. And that's when I first started picking out cover songs, because I wanted to play them for pleasure. And I figured out how to work them out on the guitar. So it was all by ear with the chords I remember from school. So that's really where it started. But it was 3 years from then that I actually got up and did a couple at the folk club. And then it all started from there, really. I just really love it.
It's lovely doing other people's songs and paying tribute to other artists, but to be creating your own art is amazing. How did you get into that? How did you find you had a talent for that?
Well, you know what? It was quite by accident, because I went to what I thought was the Folk Club Singers Night around about 1998, 99. And everyone was doing their own songs. So I thought, well, I'll have a go. And I wrote a song called The Road. And I remember I used to write lots of poems, and I had lots of song ideas when I was at university, but I never really made them into proper songs. So I just kind of went back to some of those, and then I just started writing them, because I would do this one song that I'd written every week. You got to do 2 songs at the open mic. So I'd do this, The Road, plus a cover every week until I had 2 songs. I wrote one called I Want Your Love, then I'd do those 2 every week. And you start thinking, well, I need another one now. So it really built up slowly. Amazing.
Now, you've worked with some really top people. I mean, you mentioned Jules Holland before. You've worked with Jules, haven't you?
I was lucky enough in 2004 and 5. Jules Holland was inviting lots of different artists to just split the supports on all his tours, because he does a lot of gigs every year. He does about 50 or so, maybe 100 even gigs, and he does a winter tour. So on the winter tour, I think there were 30 odd shows, and they split them between 3 different singer-songwriters, and I got to do 11 supports. And they did the same thing the following winter, so I got to do it 2 years in a row, which was really good. I mean, I literally went from playing in coffee shops to playing the Royal Albert Hall, opening up, so it was a really big leap. But I absolutely loved it. I really loved it. It was really good fun, and it was a very lucky break, because even now, 15 years later, people come along to gigs and they say, oh, we saw you open for Jules Holland years ago, and we've always wanted to come and see him. We saw your name. So all of those supports I got to do, and for other people too, really wonderful. As well as the amazing experience of being able to stand on a great big stage and sing in front of Jules Holland's big audience, which is exciting in itself. And also then you get to watch the band. It's just like a treat all around. And then people who see you, they'll buy your CDs, and and keep coming. They come and see your own gigs. You know, it really is wonderful. I'm so grateful for any supports I get. I did a few for Lindisfarne quite recently, and that was really lovely. So I would never turn my nose up at doing the support ever,
Yeah.
even though I'm lucky enough now where a couple of venues that I've been playing a long time, I've built up the audience enough where that I can actually now afford to bring a support. So I always look around for anybody I know who's up and coming and say, would you like to come? And I always pay them and say, bring your CDs and give them a nice big intro like they did for me. I enjoy now being a bit older, being able to invite someone else to get that experience. Yeah, obviously not as big a crowd as Jules, but still, you know.
One of these days, you never know. I mean, you played at Glastonbury as well.
I did do Glastonbury. That was actually lucky. I was part of a trio for a couple of years with two friends. And it was as this trio that between us, we got to do 3 really big festivals. I managed to get us on the bill at Cropredy, the Fairport Convention Festival, because I'm folky. Amy Wadge, who was also in it, she's a little bit rockier, so she got us on at Glastonbury. Her manager got us on there. And then Kathy is a Christian singer, and she was very popular at the Greenbelt Festival, which is a bit like the Christian and Glastonbury at Cheltenham Racecourse. So Kathy got us on there. So between the 3 of us, we got to play some great gigs. That was back in 2007. It was a great year.
You know, you spent time in Nashville as well, I believe.
I was lucky enough to go there on holiday. I went on a trip across America 20 years ago, back in, it was 2000, so 21 years ago, actually. I went in April and I came back in the summer, had 3 months going from New York to LA. And halfway across, I went to Nashville for what was going to be 2 or 3 days and ended up being 6 weeks because I managed to get myself a job washing dishes in an English pub, and I met this whole group of local singer-songwriters who really welcomed me in, and I'm still friends with them all now. So I would go back to visit, and then I actually got a visa to live and work there for a couple of years, and then I moved back home. So what I tend to do whenever I can have a holiday, I'll free up a month of gigs and I'll just go over there for a month and hire a car, and so I can do a few road trips, you know, out one way, you know, out west a few hundred miles and do a gig, and then one year somebody got me some gigs in Vermont. So from Nashville I drove across to Baltimore and did a coffee shop gig, and then up to New York, did a gig there, and then on up to Baltimore and did these 4 little gigs, one of which was an Irish pub, which was amazing. And a lot of my friends for there come and visit here, and they come and tour over here as well. And so yes, I'm looking forward to going back to America. I love it over there. I do.
Obviously, things are going to be easing off a little bit in the very near future, and gigs are going to be kicking off. What have you got planned?
It's really just all the gigs that should have been in last year. Lots of them got moved to the end of the year and then moved again to this year. So in fact, just recently, I think since they announced, you know, the end of lockdown was possibly coming, a lot of emails. I've been having a lot of emails, you know, rebooking things and confirming things, and quite a lot of poor couples who are getting married that didn't know what they could do. They're now managing to book dates and say, you know, what about, you know, September 12th and things kind of thing. So that's, I've been a little bit busy doing that. So yes, it's just kind of back to business as usual, because it's what I've done for years. And a couple of nice festivals coming up later in the year, Towersey Festival and Shrewsbury Folk Festival, which are 2 really big ones. I've never done Towersey before, so I'm very excited. And then a lot of festivals from the earlier part of this year have been put to next year, like the Orkney one, Moonbeams, and a few like that. So it's hopefully going to be a really busy year next year. You know, whatever happens this year, I'm sort of a bit, well, you know, it will or it won't. But, you know, I think we can all see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm kind of thinking more that next year is going to be a back to gigs again properly, and hopefully towards the end of this year a bit as well. But we'll see.
Well, we hope to see you playing up here at our Irish Centre in Newcastle at some point. I'd
love to. I still don't really know how you guys heard about me years ago, but you were one of the first big gigs I ever did on my own. And I remember being so excited. And every time I used to hear from you, I used to think, God, they remembered me. They want me back. I couldn't believe it. I was like so happy. So, and here you are again, inviting me on the podcast.
It's lovely meeting you. And I really look forward to seeing you play when you come up next.
Thank you so much. You're so lovely.
Hi, Tim Healy here, just sending a little message to Tyneside Irish Cultural Society. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I wish I was up there with you, but have a great one. as much as you can in these weird times. But be safe, have a great time, and have a pint of Guinness for me, will you? All right. God bless. Bye.
Hello to everybody at the Tyneside Irish Cultural Society. Have a wonderful, happy St. Patrick's Day. Keep it lit.
Happy St. Patrick's Day from my family to yours. And I know this year it's really tough. We've had a hard time and it's been really hard, I know, for many people. And we're not able to celebrate St. Patrick's Day in the way we normally would. And we're not able to be together. But we can do this and be together in spirit, if not in person. And St. Patrick's Day is extra special in my family because it's my granddad Grady's anniversary. He died on March the 17th. So every St. Patrick's Day, we remember not only what it is to be part of the big worldwide Irish family and celebrate everything to do with that, but we remember Michael Grady and the journey he made from Tralee to Newcastle and found his wonderful warm home with the Irish community right here. So happy St. Patrick's Day, all of you. I'll be thinking of you. I'll be thinking of my granddad Grady and Sláinte.
Hail glorious St. Patrick, dear saint of our isle. Special St. Patrick's Day wishes to everybody in Newcastle and Tyneside.
Hello, Frank McCaffrey here, wishing all my friends in Tyneside a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Enjoy it and keep safe.
Happy St. Patrick's Day greetings from Pat the Hats in the real capital of Ireland, Cork.
Well, greetings folks from the Cove of Cork. Jimmy Crowley. I'm at home, sitting on an Irish settled bed with my son James, who's a great Newcastle fan and knows the tune very well. And so do I, and I have lovely memories of playing in the Irish Centre with the high level ranters up in the Bridge Folk Club and so on and so forth. And I just want to wish you all a wonderful Patrick's Day, and I hope it won't be too long before we meet. Isn't that right, Jim?
Absolutely. I'm really missing my trips to Newcastle. I absolutely love going there. It's home from home at this stage. And all my friends in Newcastle and of course the Irish Centre, I want to wish you all a very happy, safe St. Patrick's Day, and I hope to see you before long. Away the lads.
Benach Tlina Philip Hodig Orov. Wishing all my wonderful friends at the Tyneside Irish Centre and the whole Irish community in the Newcastle area a very happy St. Patrick's Day. You're a true honour in my little life, and may God bless you in all the wonderful work that you do. Guru Mila Mahakav.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Growing up in Newcastle, my mum made sure I was proud of my Irish roots. She talked of how my grandfather brought his radical politics from Ireland to Newcastle in the 20s to work in the shipyards of the Tyne. She would say things like, blue and green should never be seen except in the eyes of an Irish colleen. To this day, it is the one dress code I try to follow. On St. Patrick's Day, we celebrate the Irish in Newcastle, the Irish contribution to Newcastle and Tyneside and the country, and we remember the sacrifice of the Tyneside Irish in the defence of freedom. So much to be proud of. We may not be able to come together as we'd want to, but we can remember together. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Hi all out there, hope you're all keeping well. I know we all know it's been a really tough year, but there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel, so you keep your fingers crossed that we can get out and go down to the Irish Club particularly and get stuck into a few pints of Guinness, because it's very, very nice down there. As I said to before, it's suffering clubs like the Irish Club, pubs, restaurants, and they're desperate to open, and we're keeping our fingers crossed and that can happen sooner rather than later. But we've had to endure it, we've come through it, and it won't be too long till we're back out there on the street enjoying life as is normal. So, Slán agus Bannacht and up the Dubs.
Hello, wishing all my friends at the Tyneside Irish Centre and all the Irish diaspora across the northeast and indeed the world a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Of course, things are very different this year, but God willing, we'll be back together next year to celebrate Mass together, raise a glass or two or three to the saint, and do what we love doing best, singing, dancing and enjoying the crack. Sláinte.
Thanks to everyone for your good wishes. You'll have noticed that amongst them was Glenn McCrory, former world cruiserweight boxing champion. Last week I spent some time talking to Glenn for a project I'm involved in, which is called Inspirational Friends, which will be coming out soon. Our interview was about an hour long, but I thought it might be interesting to show you the little chat we had about his Irish roots. So here we go. Glenn McCrory. I had a TV series on Tyneside around about the time when you were world champion, you know, and you know, it was absolutely amazing. And I was living in London, but working back in the Northeast. So I was like, oh, I had you, I had a friend of mine, Paul Cuskin, obviously Crammy, you know, great athletes around who I used to keep tabs on living in London. And I was just so proud of you and proud that this guy from the Northeast had won this world title in the most amazing circumstances when you did. But also with a name like McCrory and me with a name like McNally, there's obviously something in common there too. And, you know, and then I found out that, you know, your granddad is from County Tyrone?
Oh, yes. County Tyrone, yeah.
And that's where my family's from as well.
Really?
Yeah, Cookstown and Pomeroy. I think Omagh for you.
Yeah. Well, they're all over, McCrory's are all over Tyrone. It's, you know, we're a big family, and obviously became a bigger family when my granddad's family moved over to Consett and moved for the steelworks. And I think my granddad must have come when he was very young, and his parents brought him over. And there was 8 of them. One of them had 15 kids, I think. My great uncle Herbert had 15 children. So the McCrorys are quite a, you know, there's quite a lot over here now. So yeah, it was come from a you know, and McCrory is comes from the ancient king of Ireland, I believe, MacRiadan. I think that was the Irish name. So it's yeah, I'm very proud. And probably like yourself, Michael, I'm very proud of my Irish roots. You know, consider myself, you know, very much, you know, an Irish or Geordie. But growing up, you know, I went to St. Patrick's School. You know, our football team wore green and white. My hero was George Best. You know, it was you know, it was a St. Patrick's in Dippen was nuns and a convent school. It was run by the nuns, and Father Noel Phelan from the south of Ireland was, you know, brought us up. You know, he was in the house. He was part of the family. So it was a very Irish upbringing, but it was also marred with troubles. And it wasn't a time where you shouted out anything about having any connection with Ireland, obviously, because there was so much, unsettling. There were so many unsettling things going on there. You know, it wasn't. You didn't shout about Irish heritage back in, you know, in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't the done thing. And if anything, you kind of, you know, my dad and everybody kind of, you know, hid from that sort of thing because it was, you know, it was tough.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I mean, I'm from Jarrow and Consett, very similar towns where there was an influx of Irish people. You know, people looking for work basically who came over to England.
Guards, the mines. You know, my mum's family, they come from the south. They're Morrisons. My mum's family's the Morrisons. So it's both sides. A big, you know, petty through and through. And you know, but it was, you know, going to the pitches. You know, remember going to the Metro Centre, you know, when we were young, when it first opened, and the pitches would be stopped because there's a bomb scare, and you know, and then if you had a name like McNally and McCrory, people are looking at you, you know, with a bit of, it just felt, you know, a bit of disdain of like, you know, this is your lot's fault. So it wasn't, you know, so I missed out on an awful lot, and obviously we didn't have, you know, we were very, you know, 7 kids and a low income and that my dad had. So, you know, we didn't have, you know, we never traveled. We never got back to see, you know, to see family over there. Never, you know, we were very much in Northwest Durham. You know, that was very much where the McCrorys were, concert, Anfield Plain, Stanley, and that's where we were. And that's where so many of the Irish were, because the steelworks, you know, there's a massive Irish community in the northeast of England, exactly as you said, you know, because it's a very working class area. And, you know, the Irish, if anything, we built the world, didn't we?
Absolutely.
You know, some of the biggest places, you know, New York and that, are all down, Boston, some of the great cities are all down to the hard work and Irishmen.
Absolutely, yeah. Low paid labour who came over and worked very, very hard and, you know, transformed Britain, really. On that note, was there any boxing already in the family?
Yes, very, very much so. My uncle James, Jim McCrory, used to box under the name of, he's my great uncle, my granddad's brother. My granddad I don't think my granddad fancied the hard work of the steel company, so he went in the army. My granddad went in the army and became a sort of, you know, 15, 20 years in the army. He started boxing out there, became the combined services champion as a welterweight, my granddad, and then sent some boxing gloves back from India to his younger brother, who enthusiastically started to become very, very good at boxing, and then became a professional and was looked after by the Newcastle family, from Newcastle, the Shepherds.
Oh, the Shepherds, yes.
The Shepherds. You know, he was managed by the Shepherds. He boxed at St James's Hall, which was a great, you know, had a great history of great boxing venue back in the day, and he beat them. He drew with Spider Kelly. Spider Kelly as a Derry fighter, and he was an excellent fighter. My great uncle got a draw with him. Had something like 116 fights, and I think lost about 12 or something. So
wow.
It was very, very good. The closest he got was for a title was a draw with an excellent European Commonwealth Spider Kelly. So it was in the family, and that was, so there was two things. If you have the background that we have, there's two sports: there's boxing and there's football. And obviously, from the family from the north of Ireland, and you know, I again as a youngster, you know, you're unaware of the divide and the problems that's going on over there. And George Best was my hero. You know, he wore the green shirt and his socks rolled down, and he was good looking, and he was a character. And so I became very attracted to sport and characters so early in my career. And it was down, you know, I'm probably getting a little bit of the flamboyance of my life of George Best. I'll not tell Callum that, but and you know, the hard work and boxing side from my family.
Thanks again, Glenn McCrory. And if you're interested in seeing the full interview, it'll be available soon on my YouTube channel, and it's called Inspirational Friends. Right, imagine you're stuck in an airport. Planes are delayed. What are you going to do? Well, a couple of years ago in Newcastle Airport, the people were very lucky, as Derry Farrell and friends were sat there with their instruments. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Have a good one.